one of the interesting things about this Niner team, to me, Allen, is the depth of this defense. And you could look at Javon Kinlaw and Kerry Hyder Jr. and Kevin Givens. They're all listed as 2s.
Right.
Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, Marcelino McCrary-Ball, Ambry Thomas. These are all legitimate NFL players, and they're listed as 2s on this defense.
Right. I mean, just from the list you said, those guys could probably be 1s on a number of teams right now in the NFL, and that speaks to what the Niners have been building, what they continue to build, and you got to be excited. We spend so much time talking about the offense because that's what we do. That's what we're going to do. That's what sells the tickets. But defensively, we know that's where a lot of times this Niners bread is buttered, and it's just as important, if not more important, than the offense because it really sets the table for where you're starting on the field, how much you control possession, things like that. So it's an exciting time, and you know that Wilkes and the rest of that coaching staff, they're ready to prove and show that they're still as good as they have been in the past, and they're just going to continue to improve.
It's a sign of a good team that if you look at the all 22, the starting 11 on offense and the starting 11 on defense, you've got no rookies listed as starters. And even as you look deeper and you look at the 2s, you've got Jair Brown, the top pick from this past draft. He's listed as a backup free safety, and he's been showing out very impressively in camp. And Jack Coletto, the backup fullback, they're the only rookies who are listed as 2s on this team. So in terms of that, Allen, how difficult is it going to be for many of these rookies to even make the team?
Yeah, it's a good problem to have if you're not one of these rookies, right? Because you don't want to have to put them in situations where you're depending on them in high pressure spots, and it is going to be difficult. But I mean, is that really the job of the fan at this point, Dibs?
It's kind of the job of everybody involved to try to put the best product on the field. But also, if you're John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, you really want to be able to sustain this for many years to come. Right. So in terms of borderline, will you make it or will you not make it roster spots, I think you do have to kind of default to the rookies, not only because they make less money, but you do want to build a little bit for the future. Ronnie Bell, listed as a third-string wide receiver. He's going to make the team. Kick returner and a guy who can be a legitimate pass-catching threat. Cameron Latu is an interesting one at tight end because you've got Charlie Warner and Ross Dwelly backing up George Kittle, and you figure you're going to keep 4 tight ends, Cameron Latu, but also Braden Willis is a rookie, and you'd want to keep him as well. And I wonder how many of these guys, when you get to cut-down day, which I believe is 3 weeks from today, you're going to have some hard choices for the 49ers, knowing that some of these players that you cut won't be around for your practice squad.
No, they won't be. And that's the best part about the draft, Dibs. And I get it, Niners not getting first-round pick. I get all that, but you sit there and everybody breaking down, they should have went here during the draft, or they shouldn't went there for positions that might not see the field all season long. But it doesn't matter. You're still going to pay attention to the draft and complain if it was your guy, or be happy if it was your guy, even if because you know that if all things go well, you're not going to see them on the field. You don't really want to see them on the field, but you still love the draft.
Yeah, you love the draft, and you want to love the future of these players. But honestly, if you look at the defense, and we ran down the names, and all of the players at the top of that depth chart are veterans of some sort, and even the 2s, guys behind him, and I look at the strength of this team, and we haven't even mentioned Nick Bosa, who's not on the depth chart. He's on the reserve, did not report list. He's the only one. You do have Darrell Luter Jr. on the PUP list, but other than that, you're pretty rock solid across this defense with a lot of depth, especially the defensive line.
Right. And looking at the rest of the NFC, where the Niners are going to try to become or get back to the top of that mountain before getting back to the Super Bowl. I mean, what defenses are you picking over the Niners right now?
Buffalo would be one of the few, and we talked to Aaron Schatz yesterday.
NFC. NFC.
Gotcha. Maybe Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, even though they lost Javon Hargrave to the 49ers, they still have a tremendous amount of defensive depth, and it was their defense that ultimately swung that game in their favor when they knocked not only Brock Purdy out, but also Josh Johnson. They rendered the 49ers quarterbackless in the biggest game of the season. So I do think you still need to default to Philadelphia in terms of their quality of defense.
And don't forget, if it wasn't for the grass at the Super Bowl, they would have won the whole thing.
Right. And I still am trying to figure that out because the grass, I believe, was the same grass for both teams that day. And yet Philadelphia is the only team that's really complaining because they lost.
Because they're saying that was where they excelled. So they couldn't excel where they typically do. That's why they're complaining.
Because of the field.
Because of the field.
Because the field was too fast or it was too slow. It was too slippery.
Too slippery. That's what they're saying. Which is funny because they had just finished, and maybe it was more the fans than the players, but they had just finished saying, hey, no excuses, Niner fans and Niners, no excuses. You get what you get and be happy with it, right? Yeah. And Brock Purdy goes down, Josh Johnson goes down. Sorry for your luck. That's just how it goes. And then they turn around during the Super Bowl when the shoe is on the other foot, no pun intended. Now you have something to say. Now it's, well, if we could have done this, well, you might not have even been there if the Niners had their quarterback. So let's not forget that.
And that's just the nature of all of this where you have to make the adjustment no matter what the field is, the situations, and we can all complain about the monsoon in Chicago, and my partner Mark Willard was at that game, and it was almost unplayable, but Chicago was able to make a couple of plays in the passing game that swung that game in their favor. So whether it's the field or the conditions or the officials, no matter what it is, you've got to find a way to make the adjustments and not have that be an excuse as to why you lose.
Right. I mean, you can have the excuse, nobody's going to care.
Exactly.
You can say it all you want.